My son's last words weren't to me. They weren't to his dad or his friends. They were typed into a phone and sent across the world to the person who'd become his tormentor, a stranger. His last message was to the person who was blackmailing him. He wrote, "You won't get any money from me if I'm not here." And then, he was gone. It's the hardest sentence I'll ever have to say. A sentence that makes no sense, and yet, it's the brutal, undeniable reality of what happened to our family. It's why we're sitting here, talking to you. Because this nightmare that we are living is happening in houses just like yours. It's unfolding in secret, on glowing screens in the middle of the night. And we didn't see it coming, not until it was too late. We're sharing our son's story so that maybe you will. Before all of this, our house was loud. It was filled with the sound of our son, Liam, the sound of him cracking up at some stupid video, the thump of a basketball on the driveway, the muffled bass from his room. It was the sound of life. He was 17. He was this incredible mix of goofy and serious. He'd spend an hour falling over and over again on his skateboard to get a new trick right, then come inside and have this deep conversation about space or history. He was a good kid. I know every parent says that, but he really was. He was kind, gentle with his younger cousins, always looking out for his friends. He was just starting to figure out who he was, who he wanted to be. He'd just gotten his driver's license, so proud of that beat-up old car we found for him. He was working weekends at the movie theater, saving up for something better. He was talking about college, about studying graphic design. He had this whole canvas of a life in front of him, and he was just starting to pick up the brushes. We have this video from his last birthday. We're all around the table, and he's trying to blow out those trick candles, laughing so hard he can't breathe. His face is just lit up with pure joy. That's the boy we knew. That's our son. He wasn't a statistic. He wasn't a headline. He was Liam, our world. When we remember him, that's who we see, that laughing boy full of light. It's important you see him that way too, because this can happen to any kid, even the happy ones, especially the happy ones. It all started in the most ordinary way, an Instagram message, a friend request. We only know this now because we went back through his phone, piecing together a puzzle we never knew existed. The profile looked real. A girl, supposedly from a town nearby. She was cute, she was funny, and she was interested in him. For a teenage boy, what could seem better? It's a classic tactic. These criminals don't show up looking like monsters. They come disguised as a friend, a crush. They build a rapport, a false sense of trust. They learn how teenagers talk, what they're into, what they want to hear. They give compliments, they flatter, they offer a connection that feels so real and exciting. For Liam, it started with music and movies. Then it quickly got more personal, more flirty. She'd send him messages that made him feel special, seen. Then she sent an intimate picture, and she asked for one back. This is the moment the trap springs. For a kid, it can feel like a natural, if risky, next step. They feel pressured, or just caught up in the moment. The fear of being embarrassed or losing this new connection, it's overwhelming. So he sent one. With that single click, his life was no longer his own. The person on the other end wasn't a teenage girl. It was a member of a sophisticated criminal organization. The FBI has warned that many of these are financially motivated sextortion schemes, often run by organized gangs out of West African countries like Nigeria and the Ivory Coast. These aren't lone predators. They're networks of criminals who have turned blackmail into a twisted business. They are known to flaunt their criminal earnings on social media to recruit new members. The moment they got that image, the mask came off. The flattery vanished, and it was replaced by cold, hard threats. The shift was instant. The messages went from, "You're so cute," to "I own you now." They sent him a screenshot of his own Instagram followers, his friends, his family, me. They told him if he didn't pay, they would send his picture to every single person he knew, his school, his coach, his grandmother. It's almost impossible to comprehend the shame and fear a kid feels in that moment. It's a psychological prison. Their entire world shrinks down to their phone screen and the non-stop threats pouring in. We know now that within a day, the demands began. First, a few $100s, then more. The amount doesn't matter. The goal is always to bleed the victim dry. Looking back, the signs were there. We just didn't know what we were looking at. We wrote it off as teenage moodiness. He got quiet, withdrawn. He spent more time in his room, but it was different. There was a tension in him, a frantic energy we couldn't place. He was constantly on his phone, but would hide the screen if we came close. He barely ate. He couldn't sleep. These are the red flags. A child who is suddenly secretive about their online life. A child who seems unusually anxious or depressed. A kid who starts asking for money with no real explanation, or whose own money vanishes. We've since learned from the FBI that these criminals often demand payment through gift cards, payment apps like Venmo or Cash App, or cryptocurrency because they're harder to trace. Liam was fighting a battle we didn't even know existed. He was trapped, alone, in a cycle of fear. He was being told his life was over, that everyone would see him differently, that he'd be shamed forever. For a 17-year-old whose social world is everything, that threat feels like a death sentence. These gangs are experts at manipulation. They work fast, giving their victims no time to think, no time to ask for help. They create an intense, high-pressure situation designed to maximize panic. They are unimaginably cruel. And the devastating truth is, even if a victim pays, it almost never stops. They just demand more. And often, they release the images anyway. Liam was being terrorized in silence, just a few feet away from us in the next room, and he felt like he had nowhere to turn. The last day was normal. That's the part that haunts me. He got up and went to school. He came home. My husband and I were in the kitchen making dinner. He came in, grabbed a snack, said hi. He seemed quiet, but not in a way that rang any alarm bells. Just tired. He went to his room. A little while later, we called him for dinner. No answer. I knocked on his door. Liam, dinner. Still nothing. I opened the door. And that's when our world ended. The next few moments are just a blur of panic and disbelief. The 911 call, the sirens, the look on the paramedics' faces that told us what we already knew in our hearts. He was gone. It was only later, in the suffocating silence of the house, that we found his phone. We had to know. We had to understand what could have possibly pushed our happy, vibrant boy to such a place of despair. And there it was. Hundreds of messages. A relentless assault of threats and demands. They had been at him for hours, non-stop. We will ruin your life. Everyone will see. You have 1 hour to pay. We saw his desperate replies pleading with them. And then, we saw his final message, the one he sent right before he ended his life. You won't get any money from me if I'm not here. And the response from the scammer, the one that came after our son, was already gone, a taunting emoji. We read about another boy, Jordan DeMay, who went through the same thing. After he told his blackmailers he was going to kill himself, they replied, "We're going to watch you die a miserable death." Liam took his own life less than 24 hours after the first message. It was that fast. To know that your child's final moments were spent in terror, talking not to the people who loved him, but to his tormentors. It is a unique and unending pain. He didn't reach out to us. The shame and fear these criminals create had worked. It convinced him that telling us was impossible, that this was a secret he had to take with him. The first few weeks after Liam died were a void. The silence in the house was deafening. His empty chair at the dinner table, his skateboard by the door. Friends and family came. They brought food. They cried with us, but nobody knew what to say. How do you make sense of something so senseless? In our grief, a new feeling started to grow. Anger. A deep burning anger at the people who did this. An anger at a system that lets this happen to our children over and over again. We started researching. What we found was staggering. This isn't rare, it's an epidemic. Between October 2021 and March 2023, the FBI received over 13,000 reports of financial sextortion involving kids, with more than 12,600 victims, and those are just the cases that get reported. Most don't. Experts say a huge number of victims, especially boys, suffer in silence out of fear and shame. And the most horrifying statistic, the FBI has linked this exact crime to at least 20 suicides in the US since 2021, and other reports say that this number is now over 30. 30 families like ours, 30 empty chairs, and that's just in the United States. This is a global crisis. We knew we couldn't let Liam's story become another silent statistic. We couldn't let his death be for nothing. His life was worth so much more. So, through our pain, we found a new mission, to unmask this crime, to shout about it so that no other parent has to live this nightmare. We're sharing the most painful details of our lives because we believe that awareness is the only armor we have. If one family hears this and has a conversation that saves their child, then Liam's memory will have saved a life. We're not cybersecurity experts. We're just parents who lost our son. But we've learned more about this than we ever wanted to, and we are begging you to listen. This is never the child's fault. The blame is 100% on the criminals. But knowledge is power. For parents and caregivers, you have to talk to your kids, and not just a vague, be safe online chat. Talk about sextortion specifically. Use the word. Explain how it works. That criminals, often pretending to be someone they're not, will try to get them to send a picture and then immediately turn to blackmail. Tell them these are organized gangs, professionals at manipulation. Most importantly, reassure them over and over that they can come to you no matter what, that you won't judge them, you won't punish them, and you won't just take away their phone. So many kids don't speak up because they're scared of getting in trouble. Tell them, even if you make a mistake, we are on your team. We will face this together. And know the warning signs we missed: sudden withdrawal, anxiety, being secretive with their phone, changes in sleep or eating, or suddenly needing money. For every young person watching this, if this is happening to you, please listen to me. It is not your fault. You were targeted by a criminal. You are the victim. First, and this is the most important part, do not pay them. It will not stop. They will only demand more. Second, stop all communication. Block them. Don't delete anything. Take screenshots of the conversation, the threats, and their username. This is evidence. Third, and I know this is the hardest part, tell a trusted adult, a parent, a teacher, a school counselor, a relative. Show them the evidence. You do not have to carry this alone. The moment you tell someone, their power over you is broken. Their weapon is the secret. Finally, report it. You can tell your local police. You can report it to the FBI at 1-800. Call FBI or at tips.fbi.gov. Report the account to whatever social media platform it's on. There are also incredible organizations that can help, like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC. Their cyber tip line is a place to report this and get help, and they have a tool called Take It Down that can help get images removed from the internet. Please do not suffer in silence. Your life is worth so much more than a moment of shame. Asking for help is the bravest thing you can possibly do. There's an emptiness in our lives that will never be filled. We miss his laugh, we miss his hugs, we miss the future he was supposed to have. Sometimes we go into his room and everything is just as he left it. It's like a museum of a life cut short. We started this by telling you our son's last message was to his scammer. We'll end it with our last message to him. Liam, we are so sorry we didn't know. We love you. We are so proud of the man you were becoming. And we will spend the rest of our lives making sure your story is heard. Not for the tragedy it became, but for the lives it can save. Your memory will not be one of darkness. It will be a light, a warning, a hope for other families. We will make sure of it. Please, talk to your children tonight. He'd spend an hour falling over and over again on his skateboard to get a new trick right. He was 17. He was this incredible mix of goofy and serious. It all started in the most ordinary way. An Instagram message, a friend request. That's the boy we knew. That's our son. The first few weeks after Liam died were a void. The silence in the house was deafening. You won't get any money from me if I'm not here.